Hi there, and welcome to the Anxiety Society podcast, brought to you by Jordan Devlin and Scott Hope. This is a show where you can listen to people talk about their life experiences in relation to mental health. Visit Jordan's Anxiety Society on Facebook for updates on how you can get involved in future podcasts. But for now, sit back, relax, and enjoy. You're now listening to episode 1 of the Anxiety Society podcast. And today's episode is sponsored by Tamsin Dudgeon at Train with Tam. Tamsin provides online and personal training to women between the ages of 18 and 35 years old who want to build confidence and gain self-worth through training their bodies and their mindset. Multiple women training with Tam have so far been losing body fat, toning up and buying whole new wardrobes to suit their brand new selves. So if you want to join these incredible women in changing your lifestyle, then feel free to look up Tam's training on Facebook and Instagram at Train with Tam. More information on how you can get involved and start training with Tam can be found on our Facebook page at Jordan's Anxiety Society and also our Instagram at Anxiety Society Podcast. But before we get started, today's episode is going to be all about the podcast, where the idea came about, what we hope to achieve from it, the type of people we're going to be speaking to on it, and just a little bit of background on myself and the mental health troubles I've had to deal with in the past and how I've overcame them. But before we get started, just a little heads up, there is strong language throughout, so if you're not a fan, I'd advise that you do switch off now. But without further ado, enjoy. Thank you, Jamie.
I'm not a big fan, mate. When you made them in home ec, I've never really liked them since, because I made one in home ec and bit into it and it was still running, it was like running down my chin and that, so pure put me off it. So, and that means that it's Ash Wednesday the morning. Aye, did I? Ash Wednesday the morning.
Oh aye, it'll help.
Wake up and put a fag out in your head.
Oh man, tremendous.
Anyway, so for this first one, we'll be getting guests on at some point. Hopefully, when we've got a bit of a better setup, because we're both sitting with a couple of cushions there, the mics, to try and cancel out the noise. So
as soon as we've got an actual clue what we're trying to do here.
No, as you'll gather through these podcasts, we are a pair of fucking idiots who are in no way qualified to talk about any of this, but we're going to do it anyway. So we're learning as we go. They're not going to be perfect to start with, but we're just going to take it as it comes. And they'll hopefully get better through time, and we'll get some good guests on, hopefully, when we can get things a wee bit better.
Rome isn't built in a day, Scotty.
No, it definitely wasn't, mate. You can't do it on one day. I go for it, mate.
I was just going to say about the type of guests that we've got lined up to be coming on, but I've lost my list.
Some crackers, so.
Aye, like we're trying to tick all bases, so.
Aye, well, I've got my pal who's a football agent. He's going to come on. That'll be decent. Luce said she'll come on, so my fiance, who's a professional football player, said she's happy to come on.
And a good one at that.
So that's aye.
No, it'd be good to hear from her too. That's what I mean, like, I don't want it to be just like we're hitting this group of people and we're just speaking to them, because that's not going to tick all the bases. Like, we're going to have people listening from a various different backgrounds, so we really need to be hitting all these different bases for folk to actually like click on and be like, I've been there, how did they deal with that? Like, I feel like I could do that too.
Honestly, mate, I'm happy to talk to anybody that wants to come on and say their bit. Doesn't matter what they've dealt with. I'd be interested in speaking to the happiest people as well as the people that have struggled.
I've actually got a couple that.
Aye. I'm into that man's.
They've not actually went through anything. I'm not going to say anything traumatic, but they've not really struggled with their mental health.
Aye.
But that's because they go about their life doing things that kind of prevents you from getting into that slump. I know that it happens to anybody. Like one day you could feel on top of the world, the next day you could feel the lowest of the low. Like it's literally a lucky dip on who suffers with mental health. But it's going to be a good thing listening to good people that haven't suffered with it, because they'll obviously listen and think, God, I feel lucky, because honestly some of the times I've been in, I would not wish it on my worst enemy. It's awful.
I know. I'd actually put myself in that, probably in that category, of being quite lucky.
Aye.
And that I've never ever really struggled with anything like that. Obviously, like we've not really spoke about this. We've actually kept it for this first podcast, and as close as we are, it's not something we've really discussed. And I had no idea sort of how much you had struggled.
Aye.
At any point, because it's just something that never come up. So it's good that we're actually talking about it now. I was just saying, like, I think that's probably why I wanted to get involved with this. It's a wee bit more of an education for me.
Aye.
As well as getting talked to all these sound folk, just to try and get an idea, because I am probably a bit ignorant as to what people actually feel and what people go through in terms of like their mental health and anxiety. Like, I've felt anxious before, but it's always been in completely normal circumstances where it's completely natural to feel anxious in these situations, like an exam coming up, or just like stuff like that, just where it's perfectly natural. So I can understand how how horrible feeling anxious is, because it is horrible, but I've never had it over tiny monotonous things where a normal person sort of brushes it off. Which
That's
obviously
what I mean,
where you're in a position where you have suffered like that.
Just exactly what you're saying, like you've been in situations where it's normal to feel anxious in, but really any situation it's normal to feel anxious. It's just one of these functions that your body carries out. Like I've spoke with a number of psychiatrists through the years, and they've all got the same explanations about the whole fight or flight techniques and how your mind works and how it's been like that since the cavemen and etc. But that's what folk need to realise. Like, there's nothing unnatural about it. Like, it's just another bodily function. Like,
Aye.
Your body will get anxious at times. Everybody feels it, but everybody deals with it in different ways, and I think this is what it's about. We're trying to figure out how folk deal with being anxious, in the hope that other folk can kind of relate to their situations or learn from their methods of getting out of an anxious situation, things like that.
Aye. I suppose at some point, so it must feel like like there is nothing that you can do to take that anxiety away.
Aye, 100%, mate. And it's awful. Like, it's especially these days. Obviously, the suicide rate's ridiculous.
Aye.
Higher in men than the women, but that's evidently because girls speak about their problems. Boys have got this sort of jacket on that is, if I speak about my problems, I'm weak. I'm a nobody. Like, if I speak about my problems, then I'm no longer regarded as a man. But I reckon if you're a boy and you speak about your problems, it shows you how much more stronger a person than that you actually are.
Aye. I actually think, like, even since we left, like, say, high school, the difference is unbelievable. Like, the amount of, say, like, good press that having good mental health actually gets. It's definitely got better. Certainly our generation is completely transforming it.
Some folk just didn't get it though. Like, I know there's a lot of folk out there.
I'm probably one of them, to be honest.
No, but nah, you're not one of them that I'm about to speak about. Like, nah, like a lot of folk really want to do their bit, and they're more than happy to go on social media and share all this stuff like National Suicide Day or Mental Health Day, Mental Health Matters, what is it? Speak Out. I can't even mind. Anyway, there's that many hashtags etc. out there these days, and folk are just happy to just hashtag away, not having a clue about what they're doing, and then 2 weeks later somebody will put a photo up and they'll say an Alfredo Morelos haircut, and they'll be the first person to comment saying, who done that? Was it Stevie Wonder? All these different type of things, like just digging in at somebody and then gone and gone and gone. But I'm just like, look mate, you've literally just tweeted 2 weeks ago that mental health matters. You didn't care what that boy's gone through.
Nah.
He could have cut that hair himself and he could be so proud of that haircut. Granted it's a shocker, but if you think it's a shocker, keep it to yourself, you know what I mean? Like, there's no need for you to jump on social media and out somebody when it's got nothing to do with you. If you're going to go on social media and say something, make sure it's nice.
Aye.
Because there's far too much negativity these days, mate, especially on social media.
I know, but I suppose that, like, my thing with social media, as I say, I've got zero fucking qualifications or anything like that to actually talk about. I'm just talking about, like, me personally. But I, at one point, although I wasn't struggling with mental health or that, I at one point thought, this is not good for me at all. Like, as soon as I went on Twitter, I felt instantly more disheartened. And I just got rid of it. And I got rid of Instagram, I got rid of everything. And then it took maybe like a year and a half to actually feel comfortable again with going back on social media. And even at that, it's only Instagram now that I never got Twitter back, just because, as you were saying, it was just the same stuff coming up over and over again.
I know.
And I just got sick of it, and I think maybe, like, it actually feels like you can't do without Twitter until you do without Twitter. And see, once you delete it, you got to pick up your phone to look at it, and then you realise you've deleted it, and you put it back down and you do something else. Like, it really doesn't make that much an impact on your life once you actually just bite the bullet and get rid of it. And I think that would probably benefit a lot of people.
No, I agree 100%. But a lot of folk use it for different reasons. Personally, I just use it for, like, funny videos, etc. But obviously they've got TikTok
Again,
and that now, that's quite decent.
You can get rid of, like, I wouldn't say, like, being able to, like, you can find funny videos anywhere. Like, there's
just need to go on a group chat, mate.
Exactly, aye. Like, you don't need to be on Twitter to get stuff like that. So if it's causing you more harm than good, then just get rid of it.
Aye. Right, let's talk about the podcast, how it came about, and how the charity came about. Because that's what we're here for at the end of the day.
Aye, it is, aye.
Right, so the charity point of view, basically, just at the tail end of last year there, I was struggling quite a bit again with my mental health. I felt totally fine, I was just going through some other different problems, and I was off my work sick because of it. And I went and spoke to my GP, like so many people do these days. He prescribed me medication, something I've never been a fan of in the past. Don't get me wrong, it does wonders for people, but I just prefer to deal with things naturally. It's just the way I've always done it. So the GP gave me tablets, he gave me website links, and he says, I've put you on a website for the NHS to see a psychiatrist, blah blah blah, you'll hear from them shortly. And that was in the start of October in 2020, and it's now, what's today's date, the 16th of February 2021, and I've not heard a peep back for the NHS. Now, don't get me wrong, I think the NHS are doing an absolutely amazing job, regardless of what department it is, whether it's the high dependency unit dealing with COVID patients, or the psychiatric unit dealing with folk like myself who need that little bit of help to get them back to where they need to be. But they're clearly overwhelmed, and that is a massive problem, especially when you look at the figures of people that are killing themselves these days, especially young people actually. Because it's all fine and well saying, oh, if you're struggling you need to go to the doctors and get help. Like, I'm a prime example. Like, luckily I feel fine, but there's a lot of people out there be like, look, you need to go and get help. So they're like, right, fine, I'm going to go to the doctors. And see the amount of anxiety that puts on you, just having to go to the doctors for the first time. Like, I can remember the first time I had to go to the doctors about mental health related issues. I'll speak about it in a minute, but that is so nerve-wracking, and the fact that they've worked up the bottle to do that is amazing. But for them to get in the door and the doctor to be like, here's some meds, here's a couple of links to a couple of websites, listen to these meditation videos, do this, do that, I'll put you on the waiting list and you'll hear from somebody just shortly, and then they send you out the door. So you go home from the doctors that day thinking, great, I feel class now, I've got these tablets, he's gave me websites, I'm going to look at them straight away. Excuse me, there's a beer coming back. So you get home, you've got these tablets, you've got these websites, blah 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 blah, and then you're sitting in there in your house months on end. The clock goes round, not a phone call, not an email, not a text message, not anything from the NHS to say, right, Mr. Devlin, you now have an appointment on X date. So I'm just like, how is this beneficial to anybody? Like, as I say, luckily I feel fine, but all it takes is for somebody to be feeling suicidal. They finally get the courage to be like, right, I'm going to go and speak and get help. They go to the doctors, they're like, right, I've put you on a waiting list, get out. And then they could need to be like, Ken, everybody's situation is different, but I mean, there is different charities out there like Samaritans, blah blah blah, but people need to be seen sooner. Like, if the boy was having a cardiac arrest, there'd be an ambulance straight on him. Granted, that's physical health, but mental health's no different. Like, a cardiac arrest has got very high potential to kill you. See, when you're suicidal, that has also got very high potential to kill you. You know what I mean?
Aye.
Like, although one of them's physical and something can get done to resolve it there and then, it's the exact same thing mentally. Or maybe all that person needs is a cuddle or just somebody to listen to their problems. But I just think the system's so backwards, and the fact that I've been on a waiting list for now, 3 months, what's that, 12, 13 weeks, is just ridiculous.
So is that just for treatment?
That's just to see somebody.
Just to see somebody?
Aye, so they've, like, that's not even getting to the bottom of a problem or whatever, that's just to initially be told that, right, you've got an appointment now. So I've not even got an appointment at this rate, I'm still on a waiting list.
When you went to the GP and that, did they like diagnose anything, or is it like a specialist that you need to go and see?
Nah, it's just like anxiety, so like, as you say, you felt anxiety in different situations. Aye. But obviously everybody feels it different. Like, I had anxiety due to the whole COVID situation. It was affecting my work, so that's why I was off my work bed and stuff. So
aye.
And obviously if you're off your work during COVID and in lockdown, what else have you got to think about other than what you're anxious about?
Aye. And what medication do you, like, what can you possibly get for that?
Well, I got prescribed a tablet that was sertraline. He started me off with a beta blocker, which limits the adrenaline pumped into the bloodstream when you're feeling anxious, and it was propranolol or something, I think it was called. He gave me that and I just felt absolutely awful with it, so
aye.
I went back and I says, look, that's just not working, try something else.
Is it like a numbness you get with that?
Nah, I reckon it just honestly made me feel awful, like I was getting the sweats, I felt sick. Like, I've got like a low heart rate as it is without having beta blockers to stop adrenaline.
Aye.
But nah, so I went back, they gave me the sertraline, which is the one I was on up until about a month ago, but honestly, I think the best tablet for if you're struggling with anything mental health wise is speaking to somebody, because that's me tried 3 tablets in my life that are very common, so there's a lot of folk out there that actually take them, and they've done nothing. I felt like what's actually helped me recently is getting out, getting on the bike, going on a cycle, doing a wee home workout, talking to you about getting this started, because I know I've got something to focus on, I've got something to drive towards. Like, that's what I mean, you just need to set yourself all these little goals, and just try and avoid going into that wee hole where all you can think about is the bad things that are like upsetting you, or I don't know, it's a hard thing to explain, but
it was like I think anybody who obviously like anybody who knows you well would know that you had been struggling with anxiety and things like that, but folk who don't know you would be, I think, astounded that you would struggle with that, because you're obviously really outgoing, and you take the piss a lot. So I think that's hid it quite well, and I think that's why I didn't really click. Not that I didn't know that you were dealing with someone, but I didn't really click as to this, like, the seriousness. Like, I genuinely thought it was maybe like you had been drinking and you'd woke up and you'd got the fever the next day. Like, that was my genuine thoughts on it.
I still get that,
and it genuinely wasn't until like you started, like you said you were going to start the charity, I was like, fucking hell, it must have been a lot more serious than that. But I think, like, people hide it very well, yourself included.
It's a strange one. Like, I didn't go out my way to hide it. Like, I've got no problem speaking about it, clearly. It's just, it's not one of the things that comes up in conversations, especially if you're a guy. Like, when you've not seen somebody in a while, like, they're like, oh, how you doing, what you been up to? Like, and instantly you start thinking about what
your instant response is, nothing.
No, Matt's you.
I'm fine.
But that's what I mean, like, when boys speak, like, oh, what's been happening, how's it going, like, you just instantly think about, how's your job, what have I been up to outside of work. It's not, how am I in my head,
how are you actually feeling.
Because at that point in time you're feeling class because you've just seen your pal you've not seen in ages, so you're like, what's happening, mate?
And very seldom are you asking that question with, like, looking for a genuine response.
Oh no,
like
somebody could rattle absolute bullshit and you'd be like, oh, classmate.
Half the time you don't even listen to the response to that question.
Okay.
Like, you just, how you doing? Aye, good, mate, how's yourself? Aye, good. And then that's it.
Like, I think boys are literally, like, again, it's obvious, but it's so opposite to lasses. Like, the first conversation, like, say boys going on a night out, like, I could be totally wrong here, but this is just what I picture happens, right? So boys going on a night out, we're at a house beforehand, your pal comes there, Santa, mate, how's it going? That standard question. I know, bad, mate, just working away, what about you? Same goes. That's a conversation done, you move on. Whereas lasses, when they first meet, if they're going on a night out, hiya, what's been happening, and they've got a fucking paragraph to read each other.
You'll never guess what he's done this time.
And they go on and on and on, and they cover every single base, so they can.
It's not a bad thing, by the way, just
have a great night. But then at the end of the night, when you're in like a male environment, that's when all the wee feelings and that start creeping up. So it's like 2, 3 in the morning, you're sitting there absolutely blitzed, and you're with that boy who says, alright mate, how's it going to earlier? And now you're like, here mate, I've been struggling and then that's when you start speaking, but you're too pissed. So when you both woke up in the morning, you're going to think, I hope he didn't remember what I says to him last night. And the other boys
he was probably talking shite anyway.
Aye. And then you flip it the other way about. Lassies at the end of the night, they're on cloud 9, not giving a single fuck, having the time of their lives, not a care in the world, everything like that. But I think that's just like the definition of polar opposites,
Aye.
And how different we are.
Did it start for you when you like started going out in that, or was it earlier than that?
Oh no, it was way earlier than that.
Is it?
We were drinking, as you do. I had a 2-bomb at the time, standard.
Aye.
And we walked all the way from the Glen down to Peace Hill in Rosyth. Were you there that day, nah?
No, I didn't think so, nah.
So anyway, we walked down. We were on the sort of back road between Rosyth and Limekilns, and the police pulled over on a unmarked car. So they obviously took all the drink off us. But Craig Murphy was there, and he had a half bottle of the Glens on him at the time, and he had it was like a man bag or something. And he had it like stashed in that, and the police couldn't find it.
Man.
So anyway, there's about 6 of us. We've all had our bevy taken off us, but we walked round the corner away from the police after they've just took our names and asked where we got our bevy, blah blah blah. And he whaps out this half bottle, and everybody's like, oh my god, how class. Like, we thought the party was over, and now it's just getting started, a half bottle between 6 folk. Right, so we goes down to Peace Hill. We ended up getting minced that night.
Is that the woods, just for folk that don't fucking know? Is that the
Peace
woods?
Hill? Nah, it's just a wee housing estate in the side.
Oh, right.
So we went in there, got bevied and that, went home, and then I woke up the next day, and honestly, I've never felt anything like it. Like, the only way I can describe it is I was living my life in third person. So I woke up in pure panic, like I know it wasn't a hangover, like I had hangovers before this point. But I was like, nah, like, my life isn't real here. Like, there's something not right. So I was sweating, I was like, I wonder if something got put in my drink last night. And then I got thinking, I was like,
aye.
I had my own drink up until like the police took it off me. So what did I have that was in mind? And then it got me thinking to that half bottle. So then I'm texting all the boys and that, and I'm like, here, are you all feeling alright? And they're all messaging back saying, aye, what you on about, blah blah blah. And I can remember it was Craig's half bottle, and he'll be able to tell you this because we'll get him on the podcast at some point. And I messaged him, I was like, Craig, did you put anything in that half bottle last night, mate? And he was like, nah. And I was adamant there was something in it, because I was like, how can I be feeling like this? Like, honestly, there's no way to describe it. Like, I was having to go to the bathroom to get cold water through the tap and chucking it on my face just to feel some sort of sensation, because I was just numb. I was numb, I felt like I was non-existent, I felt like I was just somebody on like a video game or something. So that was like when it all kicked off. I must have only been about 17 or something.
And like, every time you've had something since that, has it felt similar?
Nah. Nothing's been like that since. Like, that was like the extreme of the extreme. But after I felt like that, I said to mum and dad, I was like, I don't feel right at all. And I can remember Wimbledon was on the TV, because I actually told this story to Craig about 2 weeks ago or something, for the first time. I think it was the first time Andy Murray won at Wimbledon, and I was sitting watching the telly, and I was second guessing everything. Like, so I'm like, that isn't real, it's fake, everything's fake. like, it's all lies, blah blah blah. So I'm lying there and I'm sweating it, and I'm watching the scoreboard, and Andy Murray actually wins a point, but the score from whoever he was playing goes up instead. So I'm like, oh, hold on a minute here. There's something wrong. There has to be something wrong. Like, Andy Murray won that point, and I was just panicking over something like that, mate. And I was sweating, and I can remember just jumping up, and I could not get a breath. I felt like I was having a heart attack. I actually grabbed the phone 999. I couldn't even speak to them, and then I chucked the phone down the stair, and my mum and dad came out, and they were like, Jordan, what's up? And I couldn't speak. I thought I was having a heart attack, so I was obviously like panicking at my natter. So I'm running outside, and my mum and dad speaking to the ambulance on the phone, and mum and dad's like, Jordan, you're just having a panic attack, calm down. Then obviously when you're in that state where you can't get a breath and you feel like your world's about to end,
it just gets worse.
If you think you're having a heart attack, you're having a heart attack, like, nobody can tell you different. So I was in that mental state of panic. So basically the ambulance was never coming because they understood it was a panic attack, and they were like, right, bring him up to the Queen Margaret and we'll see him. So I went up to the Queen Margaret. They done all these checks. They were like, aye, just as I said before, it was just a blast of adrenaline. But obviously I'm in no position to believe anybody at this point. I still feel like I'm walking about in third person. It's honestly the strangest feeling. I can't even put myself back into that mindset, and to be honest, I wouldn't want to. But I can just remember leaving the hospital that day, and that was me for about the next 2 months in the house. Could not leave the house. I actually had to sleep with my mum and dad throughout that whole 2 months. I couldn't be left in a room on my own, because I thought if I got left in a room on my own, I was going to die. I listened to the same song on repeat. It was Hey Brother by Avicii at the time, and I watched the lyrics on screen.
Terrible choice.
Just kept on watching it over and over and over it, thinking that a word was going to come up that wasn't a word that was sang. So I'm thinking, bang, there's a mistake, there's something wrong. Just looking for something to panic about, like going back and forward to the toilet, getting the cold water, splashing it over my face, making sure I was still here. And then obviously I was getting that like panicky feeling about like feeling like having a heart attack and that. So I was speaking to my dad, and he was like, right, it's like what the doctor says, it's just a rush of adrenaline, why don't you just take yourself out for a run? So I took myself out for a run. I got all fucking dolled up in that, just put a jumper on, sprinted outside my house, which was at Rosyth at the time, ran down the alleyway, and I can remember getting to the very bottom of the alleyway, and it takes you to a road called Admiralty Road, right next to the Shell garage. And I'm just standing there, and I'm obviously still feeling like this isn't real. And it actually crossed my mind at one point that I could easily jump out in front of a car here and nothing's going to happen because I'm not real. Honestly, it was the most psychotic
fucking hell, man,
experience I've ever felt. And it wasn't until about...
And how long after that was the night that happened? Like, when you had that thought of like, I can jump out in front of a motor, how long after like that night was it?
That must have been about a month or something.
That's mental, man. So you're feeling like that for that whole
honestly,
time?
Mate, I just felt like my whole life was a lie. Every day I woke up I thought, well, this is fake, so it doesn't matter what happens.
That's great. Were you working at that point?
Nah, I didn't think I was working.
Still at school?
I think we'd just left school, and
like that summer?
Between like school,
before you'd started an apprenticeship or that?
Apprenticeship. But that's what I mean, mate. Honestly, see, try to think back to it. Like it's just like glimpses that I can remember. So because of that, I've actually recently requested my medical record so I can actually see a timeline of what actually happened, so I can give myself a wee bit closure on like what dates was I here, what dates was I there. But after that time, like I've been to that road and I'm just thinking I could easily jump out here and nothing's going to happen. The car's going to go right past me because I'm fake, I'm not real. I felt like I was a ghost. That's why I felt like I had to always be with somebody. Like I'd be lying in bed, I'd be lying in the bedroom next door to my living room in my old house.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, see if I shouted mum or dad and they did not reply to me, that would be me, panicking out my nut, thinking that's me, I'm dead, I'm not existent. And they always had to be like, aye Jordan, we're here, just so I had some wee bit of reassurance that I was still alive and it wasn't just a dream. But aye, it's
And how long did it take for you to come out of that? And was there anything that actually like triggered like you to, or was it just like a gradual sort of coming in?
It was gradual, because like obviously once I felt like the way I felt, every day I woke up, the question I was asking myself, do I feel real today? And then as soon as I'd ask myself that, I'd be straight back in to where I felt. Like everything's fake. I'm numb. Like I'm constantly walking about every day looking for things that are wrong. Like honestly, it could be the daftest things. Like I could be watching BBC News, right, and they've got the subtitles along the bottom. If there's a word misspelt, that would be me panicking at my nut. Like I was just constantly looking about for mistakes that I could cling on to and think there's something no right.
See, that's what I mean with like my ignorance. Like, I had no idea, not even that you had dealt with this, but that other people dealt with that sort of thing.
Aye.
Like I always thought that like if somebody was feeling anxious, it would be like a personal thing, rather than being triggered by something that's way out of your control.
Well, to be fair,
like there is no way that you can control mistakes that happen on a TV.
I know. Like I didn't actually know, like as far as I was aware, this experience that I had around mental health, like anxiety through the roof and not feeling real, and like that is psychotic. Like I didn't have anything to relate to about that until about 3 weeks ago or something. I was listening to a podcast by Joe Wicks, and he interviewed the actor that's on, is it Homeland, called David Harewood.
I don't know him, but
so he interviewed him, and basically
apologies,
he
David.
got sectioned at the start of his career, and he does a whole documentary on how he was psychotic and how he felt, and see the amount of things I related to when I was watching that, it was mental. Like he was talking about the same thing, like this is all fake, like I'm looking at myself in third person, it's nothing's real, but it's a weird one to explain, like without knowing the 100% details of what actually happened. But hopefully once I've seen my medical records and like continue to do this podcast, like I can give you a wee bit more information. But
aye. And did you get any medication through at that point?
Nah, I refused it. Yeah.
Did you?
Because that night that I was watching Andy Murray on TV on the Wimbledon and that, and I phoned the ambulance. When I went up to the Vic, that was when I first got told about the whole beta blockers. And how it stops your adrenaline, and to me that was like, it stops your adrenaline so you can't get any adrenaline. And I can just remember sitting, I don't know why this came to my head, but I was like, I've been to America and Orlando studios and that, like how the fuck could I go to a theme park and not have adrenaline? Thinking if I take one of these tablets, that's my adrenaline done for the rest of my life.
You're never going to feel anything ever again.
But that just shows you how naive and young I was.
We still are, mate. Still fucking learning all the time, man.
But there's only a couple of things going back to that like situation in my life. So obviously I went to the Queen Margaret that night, got told it was a panic attack, blah blah blah. Time went on, I went out for the run, seen the car. Like at this point, when I'm like standing on the edge of the pavement, thinking if I jump out in this car, nothing's going to happen. Like I don't feel suicidal. It's not something I want to do. Like I'm not like I'm going to jump in front of that car and hope it kills me. Like it was nothing like that. It was merely if I jump out in front of this car, nothing will happen because this is all a dream.
Maybe like an internal thought rather than.
I was never suicidal. Like
actually putting it towards action.
Like I felt alright. Granted, there was things that I've found out that have triggered that whole anxiety episode, which we'll speak about in a minute. But after that, I went to the GP and they referred me to the psychiatric psychology, NHS, blah blah blah, whatever it is. And I actually spoke to my mum and dad about this about a month ago, because I'm still convinced that I went to this old fashioned building in Kirkcaldy or something. It was somewhere out that way, and it was to see a psychiatrist, and my dad drove me there, and I can just remember going in the front door, and it was like these big massive old wooden doors that like creaked and they slammed when I got the other side of them, so I was inside the building and it just like, so that was like so surreal, because I can still picture it in my head right now, so I'm thinking it must have been real.
I did just shit myself there. That was fucking you pure sucked me in there, and then you fucking slammed the table. That was like somebody telling a fucking ghost story.
Honestly, mate, it feels like a ghost story.
I was pure into that there, man. Shit myself there. That fucking hell. This cunt can tell stories, man.
So, I'm inside this building, and we're just sitting in the waiting room, and it's like proper old school, like the fucking paint mark's shocking. It's got the old shitey carpet you'd find in your RE class at school. The urinals are like still cast iron pipes, or like copper pipes, everything up the wall. Just everything about it is old fashioned, riddled with like horror film. So I was sitting there, and then the lassie comes out. She's like, "Right, Mr. Devlin." So I've stood up and I go in, and the lassie's sitting speaking to me and that. So she's asking me like, "How you feeling?" And I'm just telling her, like, I feel like I'm in third person, like I'm hovering above my body, like I can't feel anything, like I'm having to go to the toilet to chuck cold water on myself to feel things. And she's speaking blah 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 blah, and she's like, "Right, can you step outside for a second?" So that's where like the alarm bells start ringing. So I stepped outside. It's just my dad and the psychiatrist. So I took myself to the toilet, and I'm thinking, fuck me, this is a mental institution, I'm not getting out of here. I'm thinking, they are actually locking the doors and throwing away the key, that is me in. Like, this isn't normal how to feel like this, like, I cannot get out of here today. And my mind just starts playing tricks, so I'm worked up. So I go back into the room, I'm like, "Right, Dad, what's happening? Like, you need to tell me." And he's like, "Right, we're away." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "Right, it's time to go, like, your meeting's done." And I was like, fuck me, thank God for that.
I was going to say, I thought you were about to start climbing out windows there.
I genuinely thought that was me, yeah. Like, I didn't ken nothing about like mental institutions. Like, it's naive, and it's common that everybody's like, "Oh, Ward 2, like everybody kens what Ward 2 is." But I genuinely thought I was the newest fucking patient in Ward 2.
So have you ever actually told anybody this before this podcast?
No.
Or but other than close family?
Like, obviously
So that's
my
fucking
mum and
brave,
dad
man.
ken about it, but
Aye, but other than
nobody
that,
else really knows.
like, what a way to fucking tell folk that you're literally telling it. It must actually be like a bit of a weight lifted off to actually.
Oh, it is, mate, 100%. Honestly, see after like
Like,
I've
just be able to
finished
talk
that
about
last
it and-
sentence there, like I'm obviously getting out the mental institution or whatever it was. I think it was actually just like a college that they were holding meetings in that day, but no, it's an absolute weight off my shoulders, and that's why I want to encourage folk to come on here and tell their own story, because it'll be 100% different to mine. It'll be 100% different to the next
Aye.
person, and it'll be 100% different to the person that spoke before them. Like, everybody's story is going to be different. Granted, there might be bits where they can overlap and they can relate with each other, but everybody deals with things in their own way. And I hope that what I've just said is, like, I don't hope actually, because it was horrible, like, maybe there's folk out there that are going to listen to what I've just said and think, fuck me, I felt like he felt.
I'm sure that there 100% will be. 100%.
But that's what I mean, at that time.
That's meant. As I say, I didn't realise. Obviously, I didn't realise you'd went through it. Like, not at that age anyway. I thought it'd maybe come later. Because you were saying like earlier, like, has there been anything that sort of like triggered you since that point? Like that puts you into like these states of like panic or anxiety.
Like I get anxiety in that. Like, every time I've had a drink and every time I've drank too much and I wake up the next day and I'm hungover, I will get a wee bit of anxiety, but it's nothing like what that was.
Aye, I think everybody's in the same boat with that. I think that's the worst part about a hangover. It's absolutely horrible, man. I've had myself lose my job in that for absolutely no reason. Like, I'm going to lose my job here. Like, you actually did nothing. What are you talking about? And it's not till like the next day when you sleep it off and you try and rationalise it. You're like, what were you on about yesterday? What were you fucking...
Your mind just goes into overdrive.
What were you saying? Worked up about? Aye, it does, man. You can't switch off. So I can't sympathise, but I can definitely empathise with like the feeling of, and it doesn't matter what you do, that you cannot get rid of that throughout the day for some reason. Like, you just feel the fear all day.
But that's
fucking horrible, man.
You do it next week, and then you do it the week after that, and then the week after that again. It doesn't stop you. Like, that's when you can. It's not too bad. Like,
it's because it's good when it's good, but it's you kind of forget what, sort of like a tattoo. Like, if like any tattoo I've ever got, I went, oh, I can't wait to get my next tattoo, and then as soon as I've sat in the chair and they stuck the needle in, I've been like that. No, I fucking remember what this is like. Get me out of this chair.
I know.
Okay, and then like when you're hungover, everybody says like, never again, fucking never doing this again, and then you completely forget what it feels like to feel that shite, and you enjoy the good bits, but okay, the good, it normally does outweigh the bad, as long as it's like you've got a healthy relationship with it. Then I'd say it was worth the shit times to have the laughs that you do have.
That's what I mean. Like, at the tail end of last year, like I was starting to get a bad relationship with it. Like, just drinking far too much. Just honestly, just drinking to a point where I couldn't physically put the drink to my mouth anymore. That's how shit I felt, and there was no reason for it. I just didn't feel good at all, and it wasn't fair on the folk that were around me. So I eventually fucking had to make changes and stuff. But nah, like, as much as drinks are really good social, I don't even care what word to use. As much as it's good socially, like, you really need to respect it, because it can so easily fuck you up.
Aye. Mate, I've not got a clue about anything. I am fucking completely in the dark here. This is a genuine fucking learning experience for me here.
It's good though, son.
The technology included. Just fucking learn it. Just
right,
fucking
I'm on the buttons there, what about?
take it as we fuck. I thank fuck, because if I was on the buttons, none of this would be recorded.
Right, we'll go back.
Aye, so after your first experience, like, what was the fucking? Did you have any like triggers after that? Like, how often did it occur after that point?
Well,
like, could you count them on one hand, like the episodes that you've had, or is it fairly regular?
I wouldn't even say it was more than one episode. I think it was just the one very long episode that I felt like nobody there, and it lasted about 3 months, and I can't even pinpoint the day I woke up and I felt fine, because it wasn't like that. It was a gradual process. Like,
aye.
Every day I woke up, I always asked myself, is this a dream? But like, obviously the busier I was and the more out and about I was getting, the better I was getting.
Aye.
But I would say it was only like one experience. Like, obviously I've dealt with anxiety throughout my life after that.
Aye, that's what I mean. Like, when was the next sort of like I'm just trying to understand. Like, is it something you deal with every day, or is there
nothing like that?
Is there like episodes? I'm not even saying like to that extent, but like, would you say that you have episodes, or it's something that you live with every day? Or is it a scale?
My anxiety is a lot more under control. Like, I know if I'm getting like heart palpitations or starting to sweat, like the adrenaline's pumping, like I know what's happening, so there's no need to panic. Like, whereas if you take that back, 5-6 years ago, I'm on the phone to an ambulance thinking I'm having a heart attack.
Aye.
Like, honestly, I could be in the same room as you right now thinking I'm about to have a panic attack, but I'd still speak to you like I'm speaking to you right now, like, because I ken what's happening. And that's...
so you've more adjusted to it rather than...
a doctor that like explains what's physically happening inside your body. It puts your mind to rest so much, yeah.
And when was that explained to you? Was that fairly recent, or was that after, like, during that episode?
So that was the first time it got explained to me. Was like the first meeting I had with the psychologist, and that was after like my very first episodes, when I was having to pour water, fucking thinking I was having heart attacks, could jump in front of motors, all this shit. So after I was at the Queen Margaret that night, I got referred to psychology, and I think I got seen by them within a week. So I don't know if they've got like a priority list on how shit you're feeling or things like that. But so I went. It was down in the Scythe, down at the medical centre. I had an appointment to see a psychologist in there, and I went on my own. And I got in. I was speaking to it was a man. I can't remember his name or anything, but and it just, something just didn't feel right at all. Like, obviously I didn't feel right for different reasons, but I just didn't feel very easy about the situation I was in. So it kind of put me off going to see psychologists after that. But I'll explain that as I go. So anyway, I gets into a room with this psychologist guy, and he's like, "Hi there, I'm so and so. How's it going? Tell me how you feel." So I'm telling him how I've told like the last 3 or 4 doctors I've seen this same week, and I'm just like, I feel like my life's a fucking lie. Well, not a lie, it's fake. Like, I feel like the whole thing's a dream. I'm having to pour water, I feel like I can jump in front of cars, I feel like I'm just fucking... It's all the bollocks. And the first thing he says to me, he says, "Do you take drugs, Mr. Devlin?" And I'm 17-year-old, and I'm like, I'm not trying to say a good background, but like, there's nobody in my family that's ever touched drugs or that, so I'm like, nah.
A good background.
And he's like, no, but honestly, if you've took drugs, you can tell me. And I'm just like, nah, honestly, I haven't touched drugs. He's like, honestly, if you tell me you've touched a drug, like, I will not run and tell, like, your mum, dad, like, it's all confidential. And I'm sitting here like that. Mate, if I'm telling you I've not touched a fucking drug, go and just get it in your head.
I've not done it, aye.
Like, I'm not going to sit and lie to you. Like, I feel like my whole life's a fucking dream. Think if anything right now, I should be making up drugs I've taken. Like, honestly. And he just kept on going with it, and I was like, that instantly put me on, like, the back foot, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, this boy thinks I'm taking drugs, and this is why I feel like I'm fucking in fairyland. So after that, we've established I haven't took drugs. I told him about the fucking half bottle of Glenn's vodka, and thinking about if something was being put in it, and that I'd spoke to folk and blah blah blah. And he says, right, I'll talk to you about the fight or flight. And then he gets talking about how the adrenaline works in your body, and how it was for the caveman era, and how it was designed that if a caveman was standing outside one day cooking his dinner and he seen a fucking tiger galloping towards him, he'd have a fucking burst of adrenaline put through his bloodstream where he could either fight or flight, so he'd have enough fucking oxygen going to the muscles to use them.
Aye.
But obviously we've carried that right through, and we get it in weird situations. So we could have a job interview sitting outside in the waiting room, bang, the adrenaline starts going, and then you start getting all pumped up, but there's no need to get pumped up. It's just all these different things. So that's when I first got told about that whole understanding of how the body works. But what I gathered for that was the whole going to see a psychiatrist, psychologist. I didn't actually ken the difference. It shows you how much of a professional I am about this topic. It just wasn't for me, because every time, like, I started to feel better outside of that for like the first couple of weeks, and then my mum would be like, right, mind you've got the psychologist today, and then all of a sudden I'm like, right, I've got the psychologist.
Feeling more anxious about it.
Why
again.
have I got the psychologist? Because I've got a fucking problem in my head. So now I'm going to go need to sit in a room with this guy and just tell him about everything that's shit about my life. So it's basically focusing on everything that is a problem in my life in a room, like, so I can't even bury it. Like, I'm not saying that's healthy either, but I felt like I was starting to, like, get back on my 2 feet, and then bang, I'd have an appointment, and it would just bring everything right back up to the surface.
Right, just sort of bring everything back to the front of your mind again.
But everything, like, different things work for different people, but I just felt like whenever I had an appointment, it was a constant reminder.
Like that something wasn't right.
Aye, so he was sitting talking about the triggers, and he's just basically asking about past trauma, and like, is there anything that could have happened that could put you into this sort of mindset and that. And I had never thought about it like this until he'd said that, but about 3 and 6 months before I had this massive first episode, my gran died, and my gran was like my absolute everything. Like, my whole life was my gran. Like, I loved her to bits. I was absolutely devastated when she died. And I just feel like I never really grieved it. Like, I can still remember going to the hospice and seeing her and that. I was with her right up until the last second. Totally fine, didn't bat an eyelid, didn't even shed a tear. Like, obviously inside I was heartbroken, like, I'll never get to speak to her again. But I was kind of happy that I got to share that moment with her.
Aye.
And then that was it. And then the funeral come. So we're at the funeral, and I wake up that day, like, all my clothes and that are all ironed, I'm ready to go, like, everybody's Like, my gran's got sisters, she's obviously got my mum. Her husband, which is my dad, he'd already passed, so she was kind of our owner in that respect, but she was well known around Kelty. And all these folk were so upset. And here's me, the golden boy, and I've got a fucking smile on my face on like the saddest day ever. So I'm like, what the fuck's happening? So, anyway, we go to the funeral. It was doing it, the chapel, what's the one that's doing the back street?
Church, down at the St Joseph's.
Across your house?
Aye, St Joseph's.
Aye, I was in there. Aye, that's where our funeral was, yeah. So we're in there. And I'm one of the coffin carriers, yeah. First time I've ever done it. I'm just a wee boy at this point. I say a wee boy, I was only about 16, 17. So obviously I'm carrying the coffin light on by another five folk, can't remember exactly who it was. And I still feel alright, and it's not until you're starting to look at faces that you're really close with and how devastated they are that it starts to chip away at yourself.
Aye.
So I can just remember walking down, is it the altar? Nah.
Aisle.
The aisle. Walking down the aisle.
Altar's a bit at the
altar.
front.
Aye. Just shows you how good a Catholic am I. Just walking to the aisle towards the altar, and I'm just looking at everybody's face, and they're all just kind of like putting that sad smile on to say, I hope you're alright, son.
Aye.
Because everybody can't, like me and my gran, like, we were close as anything, So obviously I'm seeing everybody's faces, I'm just like, fucking hell, it's starting to get a wee bit real now, but I'm alright, I'm just talking myself through it. So anyway, the service and that's over. And then we go to the cemetery at Cowdenbeath. And then that's when folk ken how fucking funeral works, Jordan. Doesn't matter. That's where you got to lower the fucking coffin into the ground.
Aye.
So I was one of the cord bearers, and it wasn't until I let go of that cord, my whole fucking life shattered.
Aye.
Because I ken I'd have nothing like remotely close to my gran whatsoever again. Like, there's no way to explain it. Like, I can't even. I think
everybody would understand that. Like that. Like, there's just certain relationships that you just can't replicate. Like, as much as you love girlfriends and wives and fucking, like, there's just nothing like your gran or your mum. Like, it's just that you can't replicate it.
But what beats me that day was, like during the service I done it, I think it was me and my sister, we stood up and we said a wee piece about our gran, blah blah blah. But I actually played my pipes at her fucking graveside that day, and I've no fucking idea to this day how I managed it, looking back, because I tell you right now, I couldn't go back there right now and play them.
Aye, how you got a fucking breath, aye.
I couldn't get a breath, aye, but it was as soon as I stopped playing, like, I just collapsed, I just turned into sheer devastation. I felt like that was my whole world ended. But 10 minutes after that, I was back to being fine, because I had folk around me saying, look son, your gran will be proud of you, blah blah blah, like, birthday card pish, like that everybody says at a funeral. But after that was me done grieving, but it wasn't, clearly. But this is what I found out through the psychologist, because he was like, I think what you've been suffering with is like PTSD
and trauma.
Just through the whole trauma of losing my gran and that. So I was just like, fair enough. Like, at least I've got a wee bit of an answer.
Aye, and like a wee bit of context, and I bet that helps, like, to have context, because it must have been frustrating to wake up and be like, because at that point, I'm assuming you knew you were starting that job.
Aye.
you'd be like, I've got fucking all this family around me, I'm starting a good job, like, why the fuck do I feel like this?
Aye.
So it must have been like some sort of comfort to go, like, to have somebody explain, like, this might be why you're actually feeling like this, and you'd be like, that actually makes sense.
But that's what I mean though, it just shows you how, like, naive I was. Like, I had totally, well, I wouldn't say I'd totally forgot, but I didn't even take it into consideration that it took me.
I wouldn't even say that was naivety though. Like, you don't know something that you don't know, and I kind of that sounds fucking stupid, but it's not until somebody that points something out to you that you go, of course, like, well, it makes sense when you point it out, but when you're in the middle of it and you're in the middle of that fucking storm that you can't seem to get out of, like, you must have been thinking, like, why do I feel like this? I should be happy, and
you're just looking for answers all the time, mate.
Aye.
Like, I was hoping when I spoke to Craig that day, I was like, go and just tell me there was something that was in my drink.
Aye, to give you a reason.
Aye, and then it'll fucking wear off in the next day or two. I'll hate you for the rest of my life for it, like, but at least that'll be it. But
Aye.
the fact that he was adamant and he kept on, like, I think I actually fell out with him for about a year or something after it. I can remember one day I was lying in bed and I had shouted at my mum and dad, because meant to us says that I kept on shouting at them and they had to respond, otherwise I thought, that's it.
Aye.
I shouted and there was nobody in. I was like, oh fuck, like, that's it. So I, like, jumped out my bed, fucking ran through to the kitchen, and my dad was like standing up with, like, his elbows on the kitchen counter, head in his hands, crying his eyes out, and I'm standing back for a distance here thinking, have I died? Is this them finding out I'm dead?
That's mental, man.
Right? So I'm just like, fucking hell. So I start to butt in, I'm like, Mum, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And she's not replying at this point. I'm like, fuck me, that's it. And then I keep going, I'm like, Mum, what's wrong? And I start tapping my dad, and he's like that. Like, he's struggling to speak, and then eventually he calms down, and he's just like, honestly, son, it's exactly what I went through at your age. And that was such a fucking wake up call, because I was like, if you've went through it, then surely I'll get through it. So I was sitting telling him all these different things of how I was feeling, and that he was like, aye, 100%, like, I felt the exact same as what you were feeling. And just to give you a bit of background on my dad's childhood, like, he was brought up fucking by his so-called auntie and uncle, I think it was. My dad's mum committed suicide when he was only 15, I think. Maybe he was younger. He didn't know who his dad was. I'll get onto that in a second. But yeah, he was brought up by my Uncle Jimmy and my Auntie Mary. So, to give you a bit of background on his going through the whole depression, anxiety, etc. Obviously, he lost his mum. She committed suicide when he was very young. He quit school when I think he was about 15, 16. He's quite bad, dyslexic wise, but it's never stopped him. He's really good with his fucking brain. Like, he could build anything out of anything. He worked in the dockyard for years. And then he was a class 1 lorry driver up until the accident that we had years ago. I'll speak about the accident in a fucking different podcast. But so he still suffers with depression to this day, and at that time when he was crying on the kitchen counter and I was asking him all these different things, he was just relating so much to his childhood that it brought it all back for him, and he was just like, I just wish it never happened to you. I thought it was never going to harm, and then bang, that's it. But I just thought that's a good thing though, because now I ken that you've been through what I'm going through right now, so it's given me that support. And then my mum, like, she's similar to yourself. She's fucking none the wiser. She hasn't struggled with mental health issues or that, so she's obviously, she'll do anything for you, and she'll always like listen to you when you need to speak to her. But she's the same as you. She's oblivious. She doesn't care how it feels, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you don't need to know how it feels to speak or listen.
And to empathise anyway.
But if you kind of want to like match with something, like, you can't speak about football to some cunt that's into rugby. It's one of the things. Like, you need to be on the same wavelength to kind of like cross paths. And
rationalise that a
bit. But so my dad's point of view, he was sitting, and then he got out this fucking folder that he had kept for when he was a bairn, because he used to work down the paper mill, and he actually used to suffer with panic attacks like every day. And he was sitting saying that his gaffer used to say, right Davey, just go up to the medical room, lie yourself down for 15 minutes, listen to one of these tapes. He's still got the tapes to this day, and the tapes are basically just meditation tapes that you can get online these days. Anybody can access them, and they just basically make you tense up your whole body and hold it for say 5 seconds, and then just relax and just breathe out, and it just lets all that sort of tension out your muscle. But more importantly, it takes your mind off what you're worrying about, and it makes you focus on tensing up every single muscle you've got in your body, and then just releasing it out. So he told me about these tapes and that. I was like, that's fucking fair enough, that's class. I've still never listened to them, but
I was going to say, is that something you've ever tried? No?
I have tried it, but it was online. It was not this tape specific to him. But as soon as he told me that, like, I just went straight on YouTube and I was trying all these different things, and still to this day, like, every night, if it's not a podcast, I'll listen to something that's sleep hypnosis or all this different
fucking whale noises.
Just anything, mate, anything that's relaxing.
Still game, man.
Oh, mate, that is relaxing. Just listen to this podcast bit, mate.
Can't be fucking sleeping.
But so my dad, like, he's obviously the most relatable in my family I can speak to about this sort of shit. But even to this day, he's still on antidepressants. He's still suffering with depression massively. But see, to speak to him, you would not have a fucking clue, just because of the way that people hide it.
Well, my mum's the same. I'm not going into too much detail about mum, but just because it's her sort of story to tell. But she was she's schizophrenic. So she spent time in Ward 2 and that. And I had, it was a night terror, I think you call it.
Alright.
You ever had one of them before?
No.
So it's sort of like you're fucking, you're sort of half sleeping, but you're awake but still half asleep, and it's sort of like a sleepwalk, but it's like sleep paralysis.
Alright, aye.
So I had this thing where I thought this demon was fucking choking me or something, like in my dream, and I woke up for that, and I was like, fuck me, am I going, like, I thought I was like fucking schizophrenic or something, like during that fucking experience, because it was so fucking terrifying. I was like, Jesus, is this what my mum goes through, like, all the time? And then I googled it and spoke to a few people and realised what it was. But I get what you're saying, like at least that you can relate that back to your dad. Whereas, like, with my mum, I've got no idea what she goes through on a sort of like a daily basis. Then it must be terrifying for her, because constantly fights that. It'll never go away for her. And as you say, like, very much for your dad, that your dad's still on antidepressants and that. Like, these sort of things, like, don't go away.
Oh, I know.
And I think that, like just to sort of, like, bring it back a wee bit, even, that I think, like, there are certain people that are genuinely unwell, and I think if you compare it to, like, physical health, like, there's some people that have got cancer, and then there's some people that are fat. Like, both are unhealthy, but on completely different ends of the scale. Like,
aye.
Somebody who has cancer needs treatment and they need help, where somebody who's overweight maybe just needs to sort of organise. I'm not trying to sound bad here. That they can maybe help themselves a bit more than what other people can. I think that's, like, very similar with mental health. That there's some people who are genuinely unwell and that genuinely need help, and then there's maybe other people who it doesn't, when you're going through it doesn't feel any less important. But I think some people have got quicker fixes than others.
Oh no, I agree with that.
You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
Like, sorry, I'm a fucking tangent there, but
We'd be here all day if I had to go through a fucking list of them.
I know, we would.
Like, but I get what you're saying. There's two ends of the scale to everything, whether it be mental problems or physical problems. But they can all be dealt with in different ways. But certainly for me, like, physical exercise, and it's been proven medically too, it helps so much with your mental health. If you want to do things like, say, yoga, meditation, home workouts, go out for a run, even go out for a walk, listen to a podcast. This one, thanks a lot.
Being fucking creative, man. Honestly, I think being creative in whatever aspect you want makes such a difference.
Just do something.
Aye.
Instead of sitting about and fucking thinking about things and how shit things are, and how, I can't be arsed getting out of bed today, just get up and fucking do something. See if that involves you getting up and, I don't know, tidying the house or walking your dog or shit like this. Just anything that gets you out of that comfort zone that you're in, sitting, wasting away in your thoughts. Just get up and do something.
Fucking beautiful, mate.
Nah, just going back to, like, the hereditary stuff, like, obviously you can empathise, sympathise with your mum and what she has to go through on a daily basis, but I'm the exact same. Like, my dad, obviously, he told me about his experiences in the past and that, and then it's like he doesn't get a break, which is an awful thing to say, and this is by no means a fucking cry me a river and give me your sympathy. It's nothing like that. It's just to put it into perspective. Like, he is always the most positive person in the room, and in the past, say, 5 years, he's had to deal with my mum being diagnosed with leukemia, himself being diagnosed with cancer. He's then cured it. He then found out who his dad was and was told that he couldn't tell anybody who it was because of the magnitude of who the person was, because of how famous they were. I'm not going to mention any names. But he has to wake up every day and, like, deal with shit like that. And there was one point I genuinely thought I was going to lose him, because he came so distant for us.
Aye.
Like, we'd be I'd go down, like, I only moved out fucking last year. Like, I'd go down the stairs and speak to my mum, and my dad would just be lying in his bed, just nowhere to be seen, like, and he'd snap at the smallest things. Like, my mum could have went shopping and she'd come in and she'd maybe say, forgot fucking milk. Like, how your mum can forget milk, I don't know. But that would send him off. And it was just a sad state of affairs. And I just had to remind him, and I sat him down one day, and he he cried every day, and it was horrible. But I just had to say to him, I was like, look, Dad, it's took you fucking, well, what, he's just turned 60, so just say 57. It's took you 57 years to find out who your dad is. What fucking difference does it make if you can speak to him or not? That's literally all I says to him. I was like, the folk that care about you and you care about are already around you.
Aye.
Like, granted you're missing out on some other regions of family, but who cares, genuinely? Like, I genuinely have got so much hatred for the members of my family that I'm not going to name, that actually told him about who his dad was, that have known the whole time, but they just decided to tell him when he turned 57.
Aye, when there's no real need.
Like, if anything, oh mate, how cruel is that? Like, I can't even imagine what he's going through, and he literally says to this day he wishes his dad was fucking Joe Bloggs for down the road that he could just go down and speak to, but that's just not the case. But the fact that you can hold on to a secret like that for this many years and then just bring it up and put somebody in that position mentally is just sickening.
Aye.
But aye, that's pretty much my story in regards to mental health. Put myself out there first in the hope that some other folk come forward. But just to be clear, this isn't a podcast that's going to be. I don't want folk to come on here and tell me everything that's shit about their life. It's nothing about that. It's about experiences that they've had throughout their life and how they've dealt with it. Whether it be grief, whether it be good times, whether it be gambling, whether it be misuse, anything at all that's a life experience that you think somebody else might benefit from what you've been through and what you've done to overcome it. That's all I want to hear from folk on here.
I mean, as you said, I'm keen to have as much fun as possible with this. It'll obviously be better when we're doing it in person. I think it'll be fucking brilliant when we're doing it in person. But similar to you, just I'm not even. I actually just want to listen to folks' fucking stories, like, and just hear what they've got to say. And it doesn't have to be something major, and like you don't have to like try and get what I'm trying to say here. It doesn't have to be like a major thing that you've overcame, like a drug addiction or anything like that. It could just be like, I want people to just, for this to be a platform to people to come on and like speak about their lives, even if it's just like their pals are in. Like I genuinely don't care if anyone ever listens to this, because I've enjoyed, like, I only knew about maybe like 20% of what you've said tonight. So like, if nobody ever listens to this, it has been purely beneficial, like even just for the two of us. So even if it's that sort of thing for somebody else, that like that they come on and get someone off their chest, if somebody does come on, we'll record it, we'll let people listen to it. See, in the end, if we record a 2-hour conversation and they go, actually I'm not really comfortable with putting that out there, well, fucking scrap it. Like, even if you find the conversation beneficial, we don't even have to put it out there. Like, there's not going to be any pressure on anybody to release anything that they don't want to release. They'll have full control over like anything they want edited out, or anything that they've said where they've went, fuck, I wish that wasn't in there. Or if they want to scrap the whole thing, then that's what we'll do. It's not a problem. Like, we're here anyway, and we're happy to have the conversations, whether they're recorded or not. I'm not bothered marsh. As long as the people listening get some benefit out of it, and hopefully that the person actually recording the podcast with us gets some benefit out of it, I'd be delighted with that, whether it's popular or not. I'm really no bothered. You know what I mean?
The thing is, the last thing we want is for folk to come on here and feel uncomfortable. We want folk to come on here and feel the most comfortable they've ever felt speaking about what's happened to them in the past, whether it be good things or bad things. We want them to just be happy to share their experiences with us, regardless if it's been recorded or not. The only reason it's been recorded is because there's a chance that somebody out there listening to this might benefit.
Aye.
And if they're not willing to share that information, then there's no problem with that whatsoever.
Aye. Like, I genuinely have no concerns with recording a 2 hour podcast and fucking binning it if the person doesn't feel comfortable. Like, if the person recording it has felt some benefit out of it, and that's all it is, then that's fine with me. But hopefully folk feel comfortable enough to share it with other people and hopefully help other folk as well, because everybody will have something to relate, like to any issues that anybody's went through.
Aye, 100%. Right, I'm pretty much happy with that. What do you think, Scotty?
I mean, that could do us for now, and then we'll pick it back up next time, hopefully with somebody else. When, like, we will get better at this. I apologise in advance for anything that we've said that was shite or whatever. I'm actually really happy with what we've done, but we will get better. We're just we're learning as we go, so bear with us.
Perfect, Scotty. And there you have it. That is the first episode of the Anxiety Society podcast. I know myself, it wasn't 100%, whether it was the language we used, the links between points, the pronunciation of some certain words. But I'm sure it will get better as time goes on and we keep recording podcasts, speaking to various different people. But if you can relate to anything that we've just spoke about, or if you can take anything from that conversation, then we've already achieved our goal, in my opinion. If you've got any opinions on how we could maybe do better, or your thoughts on what you felt about the last hour or so's worth of content, feel free to give us a message on the Facebook page. Also, if you've been affected by anything that I spoke about throughout the conversation, don't be scared to drop us a message, because I'll be more than happy to speak to you. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more podcasts. This will be getting uploaded to both Spotify and YouTube as far as I'm aware. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your day and thanks a lot for listening. Cheers.